Good morning to you all beautiful listeners out there. This is 89.9 RSFM radio station. And this is your host, Aljan Carmona. Before we start this particular broadcast, shall we have some entertainment? Joanna Aspiras. How about
Thank you, Aljan Carmona. Now, welcome back, my beautiful listeners, to another episode of Aspiras. Our theme for today's episode is, you guessed it, puns. I will read some of your worst, awful puns in Twitter. Now, let's get it on to this, shall we? Miss Bunny Bell says, when I get naked in the bathroom, the shower usually gets turned on. I also have zero doubts in my mind, Miss Bunny Bell, and that would be the last thing you ever turn on in your life. Oh, that was a fantastic burn. Julia Creepypasta Fan says, Dear Aspie, here is my pun. Okay, I'm ready, I'm listening. What do you call the security guard outside of a Samsung store? Well, I don't know. What do you call the security guard outside of a Samsung store? Guardians of the Galaxy!
They ask you how you are, you just have to say that you're fine when you're not really fine, but you just can't get into it because they would never understand.
That was actually quite growing a bit of a chuckle there. And I swear I heard that somewhere before. Funny Logic says, ever wonder why people cringe at puns? It's because you can't spell punishment without pun. Puns are the way life punishes us. I completely agree, as some of these tweets are a freaking punishment to read. Jeez. Thank you all once again for joining me for this episode of Aspiras. This one is a very difficult one to get through because all of these puns were just awful and hard to read. Now, all that aside, the theme for the next episode is Yo Mama Jokes. Give me some of your mama jokes in Twitter. Like, for example, Yo Mama's so ugly, when Nick Fury saw her, he needed 2 eye patches. Just put the hashtag Aspiras so I can see it. But until then, I'll meet you all beautiful people next time.
Once again, Aspiras, thank you for that eagerly wonderful and very humorous entertainment. And as promised, this is our article, or interview rather, with Marian Apape to enlighten our listeners about GMOs. First, let's dial it. Hello.
Hello. To all listener, we know genetically modified organism or GMO is the result of a laboratory process where genes from DNA are extracted and artificially forced into genes of an unrelated plant or animal. People have been altering the genomes of plants and animals for many years using traditional breeding techniques. However, nowadays, genetic engineering has opened a lot in this particular field. It allowed precise control over genetic changes introduced to an organism. We now can incorporate new genes from one species into a completely unrelated species through genetic engineering. With all of that being said, there is still much more about GMO. Like as of now, plants are frequently cited example of genetically modified organisms. Benefits of this are, of course, increased crop yields, reduced cost of food or drug production, reduced need for pesticides, enhanced nutrient composition and food quality, resistance to pests or disease, greater food security, and medical benefits to the world's growing population. GMOs can also apply to microorganisms, which is potential fuel. With so many advantages and benefits comes risk in using GMOs because despite the fact that the genes being transferred occur naturally in other species, there are unknown consequences to altering the natural state of an organism through foreign gene expression. After all, such alteration can change the organism's response to the environment. That's all I got to say about this particular topic. Thank you.
Thank you for that wonderful enlightenment, Miss Marian Apape. And now, let's tackle our topic about cloning with my co-host, Juster Antonio Busog, who will one-on-one interview Miss Francine Caoile here in our studio.
Thank you, Mr. Aljan Carmona. And now, let us move on to Miss Francine Caoile. Can you tell us something about the cloning?
Cloning is the process of producing similar populations of genetically identical individuals that occur in nature when organisms such as bacteria, insects, plants, or animals reproduce asexually. Cloning may have uses in preserving endangered species and may become a viable tool for reviving extinct species.
I see. How about the artificial embryo twinning?
Artificial embryo twinning is a relatively low-tech way to make clones. As the name suggests, this technique mimics the natural process that creates identical twins. In fertilization, the sperm and egg have one set of chromosomes each. When the sperm and egg join, they grow into an embryo with two sets, one from the father's sperm and one from the mother's egg.
How about somatic cell nuclear transfer? How does this transfer works?
So, somatic cell nuclear transfer, or SCNT, also called nuclear transfer, uses a different approach than artificial embryo twinning, but it produces the same result, an exact genetic copy or clone of an individual. In SCNT, the egg cell's single set of chromosomes is removed. It is replaced by the nucleus from a somatic cell, which already contains two complete sets of chromosomes. So in the resulting embryo, both sets of chromosomes come from the somatic cell. When scientists clone a gene, they isolate and make exact copies of just one of an organism's genes. Cloning a gene usually involves copying the DNA sequence of that gene into a smaller, more easily manipulated piece of DNA, such as a plasmid. This process make it easily to study the function of an individual gene in the laboratory.
So, I've already heard many cases of surrogacy, but some of our listeners isn't as enlightened and aware as me. So, can you enlighten them what surrogacy is?
So, surrogacy is a method of assisted reproduction that helps intended parents or IPs start families when they otherwise could not.
What are the types of surrogacy?
So, surrogacy has two types. The gestational surrogacy, that is an arrangement in which a woman carries and delivers a baby for another person or couple. In gestational surrogacy, the baby isn't genetically related to the gestational surrogate. The egg comes from the intended mother or an egg donor, and the sperm comes from the intended father or a sperm donor. The second one is a circle surrogacy. It only provides gestational surrogacy arrangement, which means the gestational carrier has no genetic connection to the child. Through in vitro fertilization, or IVF, embryos are created in a lab, sometimes with the use of an egg donor, and are transferred into the surrogate mother's uterus.
How about the organ procurement or the organ harvesting?
Organ procurement or organ harvesting is a surgical procedure that removes organs or tissues for reuse, typically for organ transplantation, due to the lack of organ availability. About 20 patients die each day on the waiting list for organs.
Thank you for the informative talk, Ms. Francine Caoile. Let us end this discussion for today. Thank you.
Hello, hello! Welcome back to another episode of Aspiras. This is just a continuation from the earlier one, but with a different theme. Our theme for today's episode is Roses Are Red, Violets Are Blue poems. So let us indulge in some of the fantastic poetry I'm sure many of you have to offer to me. And of course, undoubtedly, every single poem will be such a delight to read. Anyway, let's get on to this. Flora Sky says, Roses are red, violets are blue. Where the fuck was season 2? Ah yes, season 2. There are a lot of companies that make animes that doesn't even make season 2. Or they even delay the season 2. It's freaking making me frustrating. Stefalian says, Roses are red, violets are blue. I missed my chance to make a pun. Don't worry, my dear, for now your tweet won't be a miss. And is now featured. And if I run out of themes, we will recycle and hopefully you won't miss another pun theme. Fatty Doodle says, Roses are red, violets are blue. I wish I had a limousine. Breaking news, 12-year-old boy crushed to death by 6,000-kilogram collection of hentai manga. Oh wow, look at that. Your picture is the boy right before he got crushed. As well, that's pretty cool. Well done. Well, that is all I have for today's episode of Aspir Roasts. I hope you enjoyed, and before I leave, the theme for a future episode is sarcasm. I want you all to be sarcastic towards me. Like, for example, oh, Aspie, you're so funny and original. I love listening to you. Something like that. Or, Aspie, I love you so much. And it would be sarcastic. Farewell for now, my beautiful people. I'll meet you again next time.
So good day. This is sports news. Flash news from your fresh sports analyst. And so, good day again to everyone. Dave Magayanes as your host here. And our news for today is the rematch against the National U Lady Bulldogs and the DLSU Lady Spikers of UAAP Women's Volleyball Team. The top team in UAAP, National University Lady Bulldogs, 6-0 in record, clashes again to the two-time defending champion, De La Salle University Lady Spikers, 4-2 in record, hoping to have another huge victory after their first round match in 5 thrilling sets. The captain of National U Lady Bulldogs, Jaja Santiago, is leading her team to reach the Final Four and hoping to be the next UAAP Women's Volleyball Team champion. After the rematch against the Lady Spikers and the Lady Bulldogs, the Lady Spikers redeemed themselves by winning against the National U Lady Bulldogs in straight 3 sets. Jaja Santiago, the team captain of National U Lady Bulldogs, exclaimed, Ako, happy naman ako na dinadown yung team.
Good day everyone, I am Renmar Terec from 89.9 RS FM. Today, I will give you some update about our weather. The rest of the country, especially in Manila, will experience possible isolated rain showers and cloudy skies will also prevail all over our country. In the morning, our temperature is about 20 degrees Celsius, and in the afternoon, scattered thunderstorms will also prevail all over our country, especially in Visayas and Mindanao. Extremes of temperature and relative humidity for the 24-hour period ending at 4 p.m. today, recorded at Pag-asa Weather Station, Science Garden, Diliman, Quezon City. Thank you for listening, and this is our weather update today.
And once again, this is your host, Aljan Carmona. And this is 89.9 RSFM signing off.